I'm delighted to be joined by social media storyteller Amanda G. Amanda, for those of you who haven't met you before, can you give me a little background on what you do, please?
Well, how long have you got? So I'm a social media storyteller, which means I create content for my clients. I take away all that headache in terms of what they have to do in terms of generating content. I go and research the areas that we want to focus on, and then I have a weekly meeting with them that helps them to kind of unravel what they want to talk about within that particular sphere for that week. I come from a regional media background, so I spent 30 years in local media, so I've kind of got an understanding of what is needed in terms of content.
Yeah, and sort of I know because I've seen your process, and I do think it's really unique and really helpful actually, because I'm sure a lot of people come to you and they're kind of okay, so we just want to get posting, we want to schedule stuff, and they're kind of all very sort of they've heard a lot online about how they're not
Yeah.
doing enough, and they kind of they I'd imagine approach it a bit like an obligation, as in like we just want to get stuff out. What do we do? You know, and for you it's very different. So could you just break down how you work with people and why you prefer to work that way?
So I'm fascinated by people. I love their stories. I want to get underneath who they are first before we start anything. So I have this thing about, I say it, but I'm probably being a bit blasé when I say it, that I only work with people I like. So I've got to first establish if I can get on with the person, because we're going to talk about stuff on a weekly basis that's going to be quite challenging, because I'm going to be questioning their thoughts and feelings about individual areas that I might be asking them to explore. So I try really hard to get to know my clients first, what motivates them, what they hate, their political position. Although we never talk politics online, I need to understand what that looks like for them, so that I don't take them down avenues that they're not going to be comfortable with. So we spend a lot of time getting to know each other first before we even get to the point where we're doing any content. And then on a weekly basis or bi-weekly, depending on how often they decide to post, we always meet without fail. I mean, there have been times, if they're on holiday or something's happened, where because I've worked with them for a while, I understand how they work. But we have to meet to be able to go through that content and discuss it in detail between us before I go away and create the content. And I think that's what makes it different. I think that's what makes it something more appealing for clients, because they get the opportunity to not have to think about what the content's going to be before they turn up. I've already done all that research. They arrive in the meeting, and then we just explore that particular area that week. And then I go away and do all the work for them in the background, so they don't have to think. They don't have to think after that until they have the content land on their iPad or on their phone, however they choose to have it. And then they'll make any changes in terms of the draft that I sent over, and then I go off and post. So, yeah, that's how we work.
I mean, it's pretty idyllic. They just have to turn up and tell you stuff, and then, like I said, because you're going to do the research,
Yep.
I'd imagine because I guess one of the problems with social media is you're always told to copy what other people are doing in your niche, which means you're
Um,
replicating what's already out there, which is a terrible thing to do. And but I also know that when they probably discuss their industry topics, because you've researched it, they've got someone they can actually have a proper conversation with, but you still bring that objectivity around.
yeah.
Well, I know you're really into this specific thing, but like it's a bit too niche, and like but it's a lovely balance because you've got to kind of speak the language of your industry, but you've also got to make it accessible to everyone, and that's kind of what that seems to be doing for people.
I think the other thing is that often when you're in your own lane in your industry, you don't sometimes come outside of that and take a sort of helicopter view of what the research is saying about, what's actually happening in the industry that you're in, because you're so busy doing it, that sometimes with someone like me who's going out and doing that very wide panoramic look and gathering information across all different spheres of your spectre industry field. You don't then have to worry. You know there's someone who's going to do all of that. I often have conversations with clients where they say, God, I didn't know that was coming down the line. Or I hadn't realized that that piece of legislation had changed. So it's like I can be providing them with data that they can then take out to their own clients and have those client conversations based on some research that I've actually found out for them. So that's another way of looking at it. It's not just about posting each week. It's about someone who's doing that research for them in the background and providing them with constant flow of information that makes their conversations with their customers really fresh, really
Yeah.
engaging.
And I think I also know from it's an ideal scenario because it's like I said, if you're bringing up industry news that might be new to them, it's probably very similar to how their customers are going to ask them questions or what they're going to talk about. So their ability to answer in a really easy kind of knowledgeable manner is no problem versus the curse of what should I say and almost starting cold and like,
That's right.
what do I talk about? And it's almost you're overwhelmed, aren't you? It's the curse of knowledge. You know too much.
Yeah.
And actually, you can't simplify it in a way, particularly if you're going to be talking in short form content that's, people want just to give me the cliff notes kind of thing.
Yeah.
They struggle
And
to consolidate that.
they do, and also because most of the work that I do tends to be on the LinkedIn space, then actually there needs to be a way where they seem to be authoritative within that space. So it's that balance between I am an individual, I have an opinion, this is interesting, let me share with you my thoughts on this. But there's also that piece in that space where you need to be considered to be a thought leader, or you need to be perceived within your industry or within your client set as actually being really knowledgeable. So it's trying to get that balance right with the look at me, and then also the
Yes.
actually what I have to say has meaning, and that there's stuff going on at the moment that I'm sharing with you that is important industry information that's going to make a difference to you as a customer or you as a supplier who might be on my LinkedIn in profile following what I'm saying. So
Yeah, that's a huge one, isn't it? Because people also they get very competitive within their industry to kind of go, well, look what who does he think he is? Like, and so I think like the one thing that has made a difference to me is that moment of when you decide to do something and then actually doing it. The thinking time for me typically is ages. So
yeah,
you do nothing because when you do the research, it's crippling again. You're looking at what everyone else is doing. And it's like, well, they're better than me, so I can't talk about that. And you overthink it. Where like I said, it sounds like you're bringing a sense of like, look, you just have to. This is what I heard. I'm aware of your industry. You just have to sign it off. So it's
yeah,
great
just
because
tell
you're like,
me what your opinion
yeah,
is of this particular
yeah,
subject.
perfect,
So
yeah.
I'm providing you with the subject. Let's have a look at what your opinion is. And often, particularly if you haven't thought about it before, you might have heard there was something coming down the line, but you haven't actually had time to explore it. So you haven't actually explored your opinion about it. We have that opportunity together to explore what you feel about it. And that then gives you the platform and the confidence to then say, actually, this is how I feel. This is an important thing. Or some more bureaucracy, or we don't need any more red tape, whatever it is. You've had that opportunity to talk that through with me before we even get to the point of posting. So yeah, I think that is a significant help. And when you're then interacting with clients, like you say, you've almost got that intro. Oh, it was interesting to
Yeah.
see about X going on in the industry recently. Has that been something that's affected you? I come from a sales background, and the most important thing when you are selling is the questioning technique. So asking those open questions of your customers all the time, trying to glean information from them in terms of, any way of getting an avenue into their opportunity to sell them something. But you can't do that when you're sitting there mute. You've got to have that information, to
Yes.
pull on.
And like I said, it's a really good use of time because you're doing the research, you're bringing stuff to them. And I think also I know that it's that thing of you can often overthink what you think you should be saying rather than actually giving an opinion. So
Yeah,
to
I
give it to
agree.
you is much more disarming because they're just speaking their mind, which is often
That's
a more interesting opinion. As you say, they can be
that's
a bit
right.
more outspoken.
That's
So yeah,
right.
that makes
That's
sense.
right. That's right.
And
But also they're able to say in that meeting, in that meeting that we have every week, actually, look, I really like this piece of data that you've presented, but there's some sensational stuff in here that I don't like. That's uncomfortable for me. That's too selly for me. I don't want to be in that space. So some people are actually they understand they need to put things out on an ongoing basis. They understand the theory of consistency, but they are kind of like, I don't want to be too high above the radar. That's not what I'm trying to achieve here. What I want to do is be consistent, methodical. I want to make sure there's content going out every week, but I don't want to be jazz hands, look at me, look at me. It's too much. That's not the style of who I am. So it's getting that as we get to know each other, which is the important piece of finding how someone wants to behave online, then you get that softening with them. You get that understanding of how they're going to present themselves. And so then I'm creating the content far more in tune with the way they would naturally be with a client. So when a client goes online and maybe sees them online when they're doing the research, so I'm looking for a person in the industry. I'll go online because I've been recommended to go and talk to this person. So I go and have a look. What's coming up? Then I go and meet the person, oh, that's very different to who I saw online. So those
Yeah.
things have got to be in synergy. The person that you present online must be the same. It's a bit like a dating app. If you put a photograph of you 20 years ago and you arrive on a date and the person goes,
Yeah.
you get the same stuff. It's the same thing. You've gone and researched someone online. You want to find that when you then go and meet them, it's that same person. They feel like they've presented themselves. So that's
Yeah.
that's a really important part of it for me.
And I suppose also equally you want to put out stuff that is true to you so it attracts the right people as well. Because if you are more quietly spoken and you're less bombastic, you don't want people who are maybe the opposite, who you wouldn't naturally get along with. It's got
Yes,
to kind of, that's very true, because it's got to resonate with the right people to be really
that's right.
functioning well.
That's right. And the content that I'm creating is organic. So this is content that's going to be available when someone research. It's not content that's going to proliferate. I don't know if that's a word. It's not content that's going to drown and be the one that you're going to get the million views on and all that sort of stuff. That's not what's going on here, because that's the kind of like, got all these boxes of words all over the page and look
Yes,
at
of
what we're
course.
doing and yeah. That's not the sort of clients I attract, and that's not the kind of space that they want to sit in. They are wanting to have an opinion, do it on a regular basis, do not want to do the research, do not want to have to think about it in advance, because they don't often have the time. So they understand they need to be doing something in this very congested, very noisy space, but they have no inclination for it, and they don't have the time other than this window that we have on a weekly basis. Then it's done. They don't have to think about it again until the content drops in. They make the minor amendments, and that gets less and less as time goes on. So maybe the first 2 or 3 times we meet, they might be making quite a few changes. But as that relationship develops, as with any relationship, that those changes get less and less, and so they're
Yeah,
literally just reading the content and then, yeah, go ahead, Amanda, let's get that out there. The
which
other
is great.
part of it, of course, is the visuals. So what visuals are they going to present with that? And that's where maybe some of the challenges come, because I'm obviously always saying you really need to get some video content, and lots of clients are very, very uncomfortable in that space, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So, because I know that within our chapter, you have a lot of people who openly admit they don't feel comfortable doing social media, let alone having photos. So, video is really just the ultimate nightmare. But they all love working with you, and you're able to get that out of them. So, how do you not convince them to do video, but how do you handle that when a client, comes to you saying, "I know I need to be more visible, but I'm not comfortable yet"?
So I think it's all about really getting to know somebody and building a confidence, so that as they become more confident in the work that we do together, they tend to be more prepared to explore the things that I recommend. And so what happens in that is I might receive, when we say, right, okay, well, let's try a video this week. Let's just do something. So I might get 3 or 4 versions of a WhatsApp that they've done and redone and done with a smile and done with a face and and they've sent these contents across. For me, what I know and understand in my limited capacity as a storyteller, I mean, there are some very, very technical people out there who understand the algorithm way better than I do on social platforms. It's all about authenticity. I talk about it all the time. Be your authentic self. So the process of sending me half a dozen videos where they're recording it and doing it again and doing it again, to me is fairly irrelevant. It's the fact that they're going through that process and they're trying. They are exploring, seeing themselves on a video. And I'll just choose one and send it back and I'll say, I really like that one. I think you've really captured that. You've got the essence of what we were trying to say. But what do you think about my hair in that one? Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't
Yeah.
looking at your hair. I wasn't paying attention to that. Because I actually
Yeah.
think when a customer sees you, when they come and meet you, you'll have the same hair. It's likely you'll have the same hair. So it's like, don't get obsessed about the small stuff. And that can be really hard in a world where everyone tells you you should be obsessing about what you look like. Not in this space. Not in this space. This is the, I'm going to have an opinion. I'm going to share it with you. When you meet me, this is who you're going to meet. So there's very little point in worrying too much about that. But that takes a wee bit of time to get to that. And sometimes just being brave, being really brave. And it's important. It's important. The algorithms, everyone tells you you need to get video content out. So
Yeah. It
some
yes,
people
it's
never get
true.
there.
No, no, but I also it's that weird thing, isn't it? Of kind of if you almost have to just not if you just be yourself, that's the closest we can get. But it will take you a long journey of practicing, then getting a new green screen, then getting the right outfit, getting your hair done, practicing. Eventually, you come back to, okay, I've almost become so fed up with it all. I'm just gonna say it
That's
and be
right.
done. You go, that's the one. We'll
That's it.
take that. That was the
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And my feeling is, particularly in the professional world, is there is this craving for real. There's this craving for truth. In a world where we're never sure now with AI, we're never sure. Am I listening to a real person? Am I listening to AI? Is this news actually factual? Is it the truth? Am I being told the truth anymore? Even from the platforms that we've always historically known and respected, like the old Beeb and all that sort of stuff. That's all done. So I'm craving for the truth as a user. I want to come online and find someone who's going to speak their raw, true self to me and tell me. And that means warts and all. That means when I mess up, blah, 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 I get it wrong, I don't edit it out. I just leave it in there because that gives that person who's listening to you that sense of, oh, it is you. Because AI would get rid of all of that. There'd be
yes.
no pimples. There'd be no squidgely hair. It would all be absolutely perfect. Well, life isn't perfect. People aren't
And as you say,
perfect.
when they meet you, it's like, what are you going to present? If the dating analogy is perfect because it is kind of you want to be yourself. So it's like at least if they swipe or turn up, it's like they half know what they're getting. Do you know
That's
what I mean?
right.
So it's like this. Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
right. That's exactly right. But that, when you've got this noise, this downloading of noise that says everything needs to be perfect, everything, every aspect of what you do needs to be perfect because what you're looking for as a customer is perfection in me. And that's not the truth. It's not the
No,
truth. They want a
no,
service. They want to be provided with stuff that you know that you're knowledgeable, know that you understand the industry, but not that you're perfect, not that you're, you know, going to be someone who they can't identify with. No, I don't think that's what people want at all.
no. I'm with you. I think it's as you said that it's so noisy because there is a whole industry around people sort of instilling doubt in you and say, the classic, you're doing it wrong, but I have the answer, sort of snake roll angle, and it's sort of like. Yeah, I had a very similar conversation with a friend of mine who he started recording, I think during lockdown on YouTube, and he bought all the gear, the green screen, the graphics, and he just said it made him so stressed to think about
Yeah,
recording because of all the
that's right.
effort it would take. And he
That's
just
right.
said, I needed to be the shortest amount of distance from me on the sofa talking to my wife to me on the camera. And so
That's right.
actually, I'm just going to record. I'm not going to edit. I'm going to post. And those who like it will work for them and they're my people. I don't need everyone to like me. It doesn't need to
That's
be for
right.
everyone. But if I can at least be consistently showing up and then accept that this will take a while, I think I'll be okay. But I've always felt that's kind of the price of entry is a year's work.
Yes,
If you've done it consistently for a year, you will naturally have improved, which is you're
yes.
right. You want it to be difficult, otherwise everyone will do it, which makes it harder for you to start. So how
I
do you
think the
get
other thing
consistent as well? That's the key. I want to know that.
Mm. Well, the other thing, well, you use someone like me. That's the only way you're consistent.
Excellent
It
answer.
doesn't happen any other way. Because even if you're using a scheduling tool, you've
Yeah,
still got to create the content to get the content into the scheduling tool. Even if you're using an AI tool to get the content into the scheduling tool, you've still got to get engaged in the process.
yeah,
And that's the piece. That's the piece of the puzzle. It's the you bit. And I'm the motivator. I'm the person in the background saying, Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock, see you there. Let's do this. Let's make this happen. And then at the end of that meeting, Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock next week, let's put it in the diary. Let's get the date in. That piece in the background that actually holds people accountable is the me piece. Without somebody sitting in the background, you can do whatever you can do, use any tool you like. If
yeah.
you're not motivated in the first place to make it happen, it ain't going to happen.
Is
And
it
it
a bit
won't
like a PT
happen
in a gym, I
ongoing.
suppose? It's
Yeah,
like you want the PT. It's like half of it is like I have to show up because I don't want to let them down. And if I'm here at the gym now, I might as well do something. And then eventually,
exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. But you need the PT to get you to there in the first place. That's not to say that some people aren't highly motivated and can do this stuff. They don't need me. They
But
don't
I
need
think
me.
it, see, but what I think is
They're not
what
my
you,
ideal client.
no, maybe not, but what you do provide like is lots of things, but it is the accountability, but also I think that kind of support and encouragement is massive. Like the pat on the shoulder, I love that. Everyone's
Yeah.
nice to me. I'm all over it. But I feel that like if you try and post consistently and nobody's really paying attention, which is again, you're on your journey. They're all busy. Why should they? But it can feel very lonely and disheartening. And so I think having someone who's going to manage those expectations and go, look, think of how much you've improved. If we keep going at this rate, it's slow and steady. You will outstay most people. You know, it's the tortoise and
But
the
I
hare
think
thing. And I think as well
also,
as the research and
ta
everything you provide, that would be wonderful.
yeah, but that also depends on what your aspirations are. Are you doing this because you want to be a creator? You want to drive a revenue stream into you as an individual because you're a creator in this space? Or are you a IFA, an accountant, a marketing person? Are you a surveyor, a will writer who is trying to gain traction with their audience and have an opinion on what's happening in the industry? So when someone goes to search you, your content is available to them because you need to be doing it on your website, you need to be doing it on your social media platforms, you need to be doing it on your local Google account, on your Bing account, across any other trade platforms. You need to be updating all of your, if you're a tradesperson, your checker trade platforms, all of those spaces that you've got to be updating on a regular basis to be up in that algorithm to make sure you're found, or that when someone searches you, relevant content is there when they go and look. I'm not in the space where I'm creating a creator. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be providing a revenue stream to you as someone who's generating content. That's not what we're doing. So this is about a small business owner trying to keep their profile up in the rankings across all the platforms, and that's why they must be doing it on a consistent basis, because any platform could have the search. It might not be that the search is coming for an IFE through Google. It might be coming through vouched for, so that the content and the reviews are updated. So all the things that we do around that make sure that that individual, their persona, their personality is being seen across every platform that they work on.
Do you tailor the content depending on the platform, or how do you handle that kind of thing?
Well, I think, yes, you should do, only in the sense that on a Google My Business post, if you're working in a local space and you're up against other local competitors in that space, then you need to be posting regularly on that. So it's either on Google, am I driving inquiries through my website? Am I driving inquiries through phoning me? The content's going to be less content rich, but more specific. It's going to be localized because you want to be able to mention where you are, why they are going to come and find you locally. Whereas on LinkedIn, do they care that you're based in Windsor? Probably not. So it's going to be tailored based on that based on that type of search and what people are going to be looking for. So if you're on Pinterest and you're posting something about your particular product on Pinterest, that's very different, because that's not all about the rich content. That's just about very limited data, so that when someone's doing their search, they actually find the product that you're presenting.
Yes, yes, it's very much like what are they looking for on that platform? So what do you present to them, sort of thing. And again, that's a great thing of having you, because you're able to take the same piece of content or the same theme and just tweak it
Yes,
ever so slightly to be relevant.
that's right. And then they get that right the way across all of their platforms. And I think the other thing that, of course, I'm doing is on those weekly meetings, we're trying to get into a rhythm together. So things like making sure that they're doing their reviews, making sure that they're chasing for their reviews. I'm going and having a looking at their reviews on whatever platform they're coming from and saying, well done, that's great. I can see you got 2 new reviews. Let's take some content that's come out of one of those reviews and let's add that to a post this week, because it'd be good to share with your audience what other people are saying about you. But getting them into the rhythm of chasing those reviews, which is an awful thing for some people to ask their customers. Can you tell me how nice I am, please? It'd be great
Yeah.
if you could do that.
Uh,
That can make people feel really awkward. So just encouraging them to do that. And then when they see the content, they get the feedback, they see themselves move up the search. It's so important. And all of the algorithms, whether it's Check a Trade, Vouched For, on any of those platforms, the more reviews you get, the higher up the ranking you go. And what you want to be doing is, when someone's searching for, builder near me, you want to be at the top. You
yeah.
want to be
No,
in the
no,
top space.
absolutely.
And if you're not doing the review stuff, and you haven't got someone constantly saying on a weekly meeting with you, where are you? When have you got the next review coming? What's the next client case study that we're going to do together? It's all of that content that's going to add to that's going to make the big difference. And it's doing that
It's all sort of
consistently.
compounding, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? Like you say, because I'd imagine that most tradespeople are so busy, they've got so much going on. Like, to keep on top of all of this is exhausting mentally, and when the job is unpredictable. So having someone in the background just going, "Did you do this? Could you do it?" Because again, you look at it and you go, "Well, I want to be at the top." But to get there, as you said, it's like anything. It's slow, steady. It's a year of like doing it every week and rank. But once you've built it, because it's so hard to build, it's really valuable.
I think the other thing is, of course, about the consistency message, is that it's very easy. Oh, I'll just take a few weeks out. I need some time out from this. It's the impact of that is that someone comes into your space. So by taking yourself out, you're not just, I'm taking some time out. That's allowing someone else to enter your space. And in that really noisy, busy world, you don't want to be losing your place on the ladder. Definitely not. So it's not just about remaining consistent for you. It's about not allowing your competitor to come in above you. So even when you think you may be doing stuff that's not gaining huge traction, actually you're still doing more than your competitor is doing, and therefore keeping yourself in that space, maybe on a different platform, because we've used the content and moved it over somewhere else to make sure that we've met the most of that content for that week.
And I notice also
Ta-da!
that, but it's also like every week when you're giving tips, you're very aware of, it's not really trends, but like optimizing what you're doing. So tagging people, using specific hashtags, that they're all the things that
Yeah.
almost become an afterthought. Or I know personally, you kind of go, I want to do this. I don't know if I've heard so much in either way of whether it's good or not worth it. But this, you're on top of this. You're even testing it with your own content. And I know you've said if
Yeah.
you tag brands and you tag your location, there's a noticeable difference.
Yes. And I would call myself prolific. So almost in a sort of creator way, I'm pulling out content all the time. And I do that. I mean, I'm a terrible show off anyway, so I love being the center of attention. So that's a given. Anyone who knows me
But
knows.
it doesn't come
Ta-da!
across as that, though. I'll tell you that. It doesn't come across as you being a show off. So that's interesting, because I really like your feed. It makes me very hungry, and I love to see what you're up to and out and about and all that. And best day of the week,
Best day of
that
the
helps me
week.
set my week. I know
Yeah.
I know it's Thursday because it's like, oh, it's best day of
Yes,
the week. So we've got
exactly.
B&I tomorrow.
But it's not for me so much about that, but it's about, how can I tell clients to do regular posts, and I'm very specific, so I'm Instagram. That's where I choose to share my story. I'm not a big TikTok fan. I'm very much an Instagram girl. That content then gets shared on my platform across to Facebook. So it's Instagram first and then Facebook. And I'm prolific on the stories, so I regularly story, probably on average a minimum of about 4 to 5 times a day, but on a best day of the week or when I'm doing something, that can go up to 15, 20 times a day. And the tagging piece of it, I do to demonstrate that if I tag a brand and the brand then reshares, I can show how my audience fluctuates. And
Yeah.
I haven't got a big audience at all when you think about what some of the creators look like. But it can demonstrate to my clients. I can share that with them. I'm open about that. I can share that. Look what difference that makes. That then helps them with their confidence to tag somebody. So when I say let's tag this person or let's tag that company and see, they've got a bit more confidence to be able to do it because I can show and demonstrate to them that that does make a difference. It's just about being brave and also thinking about what that client wants to demonstrate in their feed. So you've taken a bit of time to go and look at that brand and say, what are the visuals that they're sharing at the moment? What are the things that they're interested about putting out there? And then you think about the content that you're going to add into your story or onto your profile, whatever it is, to make sure that that brand goes, oh, I like this. This is nice.
Yes.
This is the sort of thing I want to share with my customers that this individual is doing. And again, if you were to get obsessed about, does my hair look okay for this? Is this actually perfect? Brand's not interested in that particularly. It's interested in how are you presenting their product in your feed. So they're not going, how glorious and glamorous does this person look across all of her social media stuff? It's how glorious and glamorous does my brand look that I can then share out because it's free content. They don't have to
Yes.
generate that content. I'm providing that brand with completely free content to share through their story that day. So it's just about making the most of what you're doing and having somebody to motivate you and help you do that.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a really, really important relationship. So you say, because from start to finish, you're playing a really great role in supporting your client through it. We're never pushing them into the spotlight, never making them feel uncomfortable. But
Yeah,
actually, the return on this kind of activity is huge because these are opportunities they're not going to get. They're not going to generate themselves, and they're going to go to other people. They're going to go to the people who are consistent, who are doing the reviews and all that
that's
kind of
it.
thing.
That's
And
right.
that's
That's
enormous.
right.
Can you share a story of someone that you've really enjoyed working with, where you've seen a real change, and it's like you're really kind of proud of how much effort they've put in and what's happened for them?
I mean, all of my clients, I am immensely proud of, and I have a relationship with them that spans often many years. Some of my clients I've been working with, I've been in this space about 4 or 5 years, and some of them have been with me right from the beginning. I think it's the ones that allow me to encourage them to do video. So someone like Julia from Create Momentum, who just, she'd rather take a spoon to her own eyeballs than do video content. And that when she eventually got to share some content with me, that was a video of her at a particular event in a behind the scenes way. So she was sort of guiding us through what was going on behind the scenes. So it was very out of her comfort zone. You could tell it was out of her comfort zone, and she did it. She went out and did it, which for me was like, oh my God, that is such an amazing thing that someone actually, she hasn't done anything since. But the fact that she did that the once was a start. And then also Amadeep, who's the surveyor,
Yeah.
happy to put out photos of himself. But then when it got to doing the actual video, he was literally in central London. He's plonked his phone for his first video on a post box, on a pillar box, literally in London. I think, God, how he didn't get that phone stolen. That was
Yeah.
just incredible in that way. And then he did this amazing video, which was just totally real. It was absolutely, it was authentic. It was who he was. It was about what he was doing, and it matched the content that I created perfectly. So again, first one he ever did, got great traction, got lots of great feedback about it, and it continues because, of course, it gets reshared. The
Yeah.
platform then reshares it because they know that the content is valued by the audience, and so then it reshares the content. So you can see the audience numbers go up when you do something like that. So it's moments like that when a client just does something that's really out of their comfort zone, particularly around video, that just makes my heart sing. Really
Yeah.
does. It's a shared experience.
Yeah, it must be tremendously rewarding because they, like I said, I get the sense there's a lot of they're willing, and that you've given them a
Yeah.
sense of confidence, so they want desperately to do it.
Yes.
But unless you're going to work with someone like you who's really going to take the time and care to do that, because the alternatives are going to be someone who remote who's just going to schedule stuff for you, or like I'll just get AI to write your content for the month. And we all know, like we can all sniff it out. It feels, just
Yes.
rubbish. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, it sounds. I'm very tempted to sign up with you because my consistency. I need to. I need your
We
help,
all
Amanda.
need to. It's not, and
We all
again,
need to in our lives.
it's no judgment. It's no judgment because if you look at the platforms, what they tell you about consistency will be way more than most normal folk are able to achieve. So a
Yeah, yeah,
LinkedIn platform will say, for example, you could be posting every day. Really? I mean, crikey, that it would become a part-time job just trying to keep up with what the platforms are recommending that you do. Consistency must be about what you can deliver and deliver well and do it on an ongoing basis. So if that's once every 2 weeks that you can commit to and you can make that happen, of course, the platform's going to tell you should be doing it far more often than that
of course, yeah,
because you're providing them with free content for their platform. You have to do what's right for you and your business and your lifestyle and what fits in for you, not what the platforms suggest, because we'd be all on it all the time. We'd never do anything else. Can't think
yeah.
of anything
No, of
worse.
course they'd
It'd be
love
very
that.
dull.
And so, I guess if people want to work with you, or well, if people want to reach out and offer to have a catch up and see if you want to work with them, what's the best way they can do that?
Either through they've got the BNI app. You can find me through the BNI app. You can find me on Instagram, which is G Amanda. So go and have a look for me on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can call me. Um, that's any. I don't whatever. I'm always happy to do an initial one-to-one, just to spend some time with a client, getting to know them a bit, just to see whether actually I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm highly energetic. I am effervescent. I am quite noisy. I can be in your space and in your face. That doesn't work for everybody. That's not everybody's idea. If you're seeing me at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday morning and you had a rough night on Monday and I'm going ping first thing on a Tuesday morning, that might not work for you because I'm like this all the time. This is how I am 24/7, and that isn't everybody's style. So it's very much about getting to know me, finding out if we can work together, and that has to be a two-way thing. Like any interview, it's got to be a two-way thing that it can work together. So yeah, just come and find me through a BNI app if you're a BNI member, or yeah, go and find me on LinkedIn. All my details are on LinkedIn.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Amanda. That was amazing.